In the southwest of the UK, in the county of Devon, the Devonshire Heartland Way runs through the centre. It starts in the east at the small village of Stoke Cannon, just outside the city of Exeter, and progresses westward to Oakhampton, which is on the outskirts of Dartmoor. Total length of the route is around 45 miles. The second section starts from the town of Crediton and works westward through Yoford to Colebrook. I'm in the town of Crediton to start the next section of the Devonshire Heartland Way. Crediton, nice little town. Downside is that the 377 road runs right through the centre, but that can't be helped. There are a lot of little interesting shops here. I've walked up the high street heading north, opposite Crediton Church. That's the continuation of the high street. I've taken a left turn up the hill, up St Saviour's Way. And at the top of that street we find this footpath, series of steps climbing up the hill. This is the route we're taking. Well, that was a short, sharp climb. I made it 113 steps. That's where we've come from. We've reached the top and we're now following a footpath to the left. We've only gone half a mile. We're on the outskirts of Crediton and we have these panoramic views of the mid-Devon hills. At just over a mile we've come back to the railway station at Crediton and we're crossing the little Tarka line that runs from Exeter up to Barnstaple and across to Oakhampton. And we're continuing up this lane here. Looks like we're all going the same way. Temporary hold up while they move the cattle. We're past the farmyard and now we're following this lane up the hill. More views of the rolling Devon hills, and in front of us a field of a crop of some kind. I'm sure someone can tell me what this is. 3.6 miles from the start we've come to a little hamlet of Posbury, and it's a small chapel here and a small graveyard, a few modern graves around the outside here. Got 1913 on that one. One next to it is quite unreadable. Very rural spot. Tiny little hamlet, only a couple of houses. Inside, very plain. Still has these old pews wooden pews. Don't think this track has been used very much recently. It's quite passable. We've come down to Gunston Mill now, 4.5 miles, and a beautiful little thatched chocolate box type cottage with all the wildflowers outside. Another of these very old thatched cottages. Just coming up to the 5 mile mark, crossroads here, and we're taking the right towards Yoford. These are very quiet country lanes, with a couple of cars, but all driving at a sensible pace. Quite safe to walk. We're crossing the Tarka line again, the railway between Exeter and Barnstaple. That's the one on the right. The one on the left is the line which now branches off shortly to Oakhampton. Up here and through this gate. As we go and we find these large brambles across the path, we use the secateurs and just snip them out of the way. Just makes the path easier for everybody else. We're now walking up this typical sunken Devon lane, just used for footpaths and perhaps cattle now, but these paths have been here for hundreds of years. You can see the banks on each side with the trees on top. The path is sunk down between them. Quite dark in here. Well, it's coming up to 6.5 miles and we're coming into the village of Yoford. They've got quite a busy signpost here and some rather pretty cottages. Somebody cares about the garden. Beautifully done. And again here, although I've upset the dogs. And again here, pretty cottage with just a massive colour with all the flowers. The village pub, the Duck at Yoford, although it's lunchtime now and presumably it's only open in the evenings. And there is a railway station here at Yoford. It's on the Tarka line, the Exeter to Barnstaple line. The train just disappearing was the one running from Oakhampton into Exeter, and that doesn't stop here. We took the path that goes down to the railway station platform, and leading off that is this track which goes alongside the railway line. The road passes through a ford here, but fortunately we have a dry way of crossing. We've just come to the small hamlet of Penstone. That's the way we've just walked up. We've reached the village of Colebrook now, some 8.5 miles from the start. This is the Parish Church. Some early memorials. This one's 1822. Others here, and quite a busy graveyard. Let's have a look inside. So this is the inside of the Parish Church of Colebrook. Some old stones on the floor here, hundreds of years old. Some more here, dated 1775. We've got various plaques on the wall. I'll come back and do a video on this church and graveyard. Just a brief look now. I'm back outside in the graveyard, and just outside the grounds we see what clearly used to be an old school building. It's now marked as the Colebrook Parish Hall. And a lot more gravestones around this side. A pretty little spot, very peaceful. So I'm going to stop my walk, this phase of the walk here at Colebrook. It's just on the 8.5 mile mark from Crediton. Very pleasant, through fields and paths, very peaceful, hardly met a person on the whole walk. I will say though that you do need a good map or a GPS system. The signposts for the Heartland Way, Devonshire Heartland Way, are almost non-existent. So you will need some good guidance to find your way along this walk. Well, till the next stage of the walk. See you then.